What's up, y'all? One Piece One Life here, and guys, am I excited. I'm not gonna lie, Zoro fans, y'all are not about to like me for the duration of this video. Cause see, we're back from the break week with a chapter about as fresh as my new haircut. Chapter 1140 is out, and it's not that long, but there's interesting things to talk about, so we gotta get into it. All I'm gonna say right now is, the Sanji agenda is sky high. But before we get into the review, guys, y'all already know what to do. Like the video, subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content just like this, and share it around with all your friends who love the series. You know what we always say here, let's get it going. And you know, make sure you subscribe to me and my boys at CSY. You hear it every week. Oh my goodness, like with this chapter, I don't even know where to start. Actually, I do. I'm gonna start it the same way I always do, which is at the beginning. Starting us off, we have Yamato's cover story, and it's revealed, surprise, surprise, turns out I was right. The silhouettes were indeed Page One and Ulti. And for some reason, Uzu is actually like torturing them. He's got his grunts holding down Page One to make sure he can't move, while Ulti is chained up to one of those like giant dartboards, and he's using his daggers as the darts. On some, well, let's see if I can hit Ulti this time. What's wrong with him? Yeah, so I'm sure we're gonna get a little look into why he's attacking the people that he used to work with, but this is not okay. If I was Page One and Ulti, I would definitely file a complaint to the Beast Pirates HR, if that still exists, which it may not, because, you know, the crew's disbanded now. But I already see the writing on the walls. Yamato is gonna do something to save them, and Page One and Ulti are somehow gonna become good guys, essentially. And listen, I'm not opposed to that. I won't be complaining if best girl Ulti goes along for the ride. For me, she's the fourth best woman in the whole show. But let's move on to the chapter proper, because we're starting off with Scopper. Coming off the back of the last chapter where Scopper said, well, if you want this key, y'all are gonna have to fight me. Luffy's just like, well, why would I fight you? Just hand us the key. Like, I don't understand why you gotta be difficult. So you have Gabon just like kind of laughing and be like, what? You mean you can't even take it from just me? All I am is a feeble old man. And of course, Luffy falls for the bait and he's just like, you know what? Give me that key. He keeps stretching, trying to grab the key with almost like a grabbing Gatling, and Yasan just keeps dodging him. Whole time Zoro's just remembering how Colin had told them before that his dad is a fearless pirate who didn't fear anybody, not even the giants. So then Luffy stretches with the final grab and is like, just give it to me. Gabon jumps up, wielding the key in his hand almost like the Keyblade from Kingdom Hearts, laces the key with Haki. But it's not just armament Haki, no, because we see Conqueror's Haki lines flashing off of the key before Gabon slams a Conqueror infused key on Luffy's head. Y'all, I screamed when I saw this. I don't think you understand. Gabon has Conqueror's Haki. This means so much for the Sanji agenda. People said there's no way that Sanji can have it because if Scopper Gabon is his parallel and Scopper doesn't have it, then obviously there's no reason for Sanji to. And it didn't seem like there was a reason for Scopper to either, but here we are. It's crazy. Earlier this week, I literally made a short ranking 6 of the strongest in their primes, and Scopper was on that list. I put him at the bottom of the list, and my only reasoning was that he was the only person off of that list to not have Conqueror's Haki. So I guess I gotta redo that. But this is just so crazy because it makes you think, like, what goal was he even striving towards? What does he have Conquerors for? Because pretty famously, everybody with Conqueror's Haki is actually striving towards an incredibly ambitious goal. In literally my last video from this one, I actually just broke down why Kobe should have it. So to see that Gabon is just busting it out casually, this is insane. And I'm not gonna lie, from here on out, I don't want to hear that Sanji's not developing Conquerors anymore. In my mind, it's a lock. And this is why I said Zoro fans are gonna hate me, because Zoro fans, we need to have a dialogue. Y'all always be saying that the reason Zoro is firmly above Sanji is because of Conqueror's Haki. Ooh, I can't wait for this man to develop the Conqueror's spirit. Oh, my own spirit would be overjoyed. I'm just imagining it now. Sanji's final power-up is Advanced Conqueror's coating with his Diablo Jambe or Ifrit Jambe, creating black flames. Flames of the spirit that never go out, just like the Amaterasu. I mean, it can really get Naruto in here. This is, suffice to say, I was overjoyed. And in general, just hype, just to be able to see that Gabon is actually fighting. And if you thought that that was it, oh no, there's more. Luffy pops out of the rubble and is like, yo, what the hell? While Gabon is just like, you know, that's a cool straw hat right there. This leads them into a conversation about Shanks, where Luffy tells him that he's holding onto it for Shanks, and Gabon is just like, he didn't even want to give it away, he's just keeping it for now. What a cheapskate. And of course, as we just saw with Luffy and Loki's interaction, anytime someone badmouths Shanks, Luffy's gonna get pissed. But what's funny here is Luffy's like, you don't know the first thing about Shanks. Gaban is one of the people who raised him. So Gaban is just like, you don't even know of my connection, do ya? You've got a real mouth on you. And slams the key part of the Keyblade into Luffy's head. Gaban then pulls out axes from seemingly nowhere, twirls them real quick before standing looking menacingly, and then uses a first Scopper named attack called Grim Throng. And y'all, I don't think you understand just how powerful this man is. Because all joking aside, all you need to do to realize how strong this man is look at Luffy and Zoro's faces in this moment. Gaban is bearing down at Luffy with his axe swinging like this, and Luffy is legit like shocked and terrified. Zoro's like, Luffy, dodge now. And that's exactly what Luffy does, because as Gaban starts doing a crazy amount of wild slashes, it's all Luffy can do to just bounce around and not get hit. And the reason is because both of them knew if one slash hit Luffy, he was donezo. Keep in mind, this is the same Luffy that was tanking attacks from Kaido. And yeah, some people will say it's because of course Luffy has a disadvantage against bladed weaponry. But I don't care. And then the real funny thing to me, Zoro fans, is look at your mans. Look at how terrified he is. It's so ironic because back during Onigashima, during the raid, it was actually Zoro who was doing an attack that made Big Mom tell Kaido to dodge. It's so funny how Luffy and Zoro are now the ones assuming those roles, with Zoro being like, Luffy, dodge it or you're finished. And then not only that, no, the fact that Gaban's attack made an entire part of the castle literally just be blasted off and fall all the way to the underworld. Now we do get a zoom into the fact that the rubble landed in the underworld, so it's making me wonder if there's anything about that particular section falling there that has to do with Loki. Like, I don't know if he sees a picture of his dad or something and if lands into a flashback. I don't know, I'm going far. So Gaban's just like, oh, seems like he's got himself a good crew. As Zoro takes out his sword, both Luffy and Zoro go hardcore mode immediately, because Luffy immediately jumps into Gear 5 and Zoro busts out the King of Hell 3-sword style. Do you understand the kind of pressure that you have to put on them to force Luffy and Zoro to both go into their strongest forms right out the gate? However, right as they're about to charge Gaban, there's a certain glint in his eye, and then right after that moment, he's like, you know what, I give up. And now this glint can be interpreted in a few different ways. Because on one hand, it really could just be, you know, it happens sometimes in anime with people who have glasses. Their glasses are kind of glinting just to show that they're a pretty cool character. But because this is Gaban and this is One Piece, I'm wondering if this could have been observation haki? Maybe even future sight. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Gaban is literally a living legend, so the fact that he would have future sight haki, I'm not surprised at that. Imagine his future sight was so good that he could see farther into the future than we've seen before, and he saw that he would end up losing to Luffy and Zoro, so he wanted to cut it short prematurely. So both Luffy and Zoro understandably get incredibly irritated. Zoro's just like, what the hell are you playing around with us for? Like, this is a serious thing, you don't just do that. And Luffy's just like, you actually just tried to kill me and you think that this is some sort of game? We have to squabble up immediately. Bring up them hands. Gaban is just like, will y'all calm down? You're still alive, and besides, the key's right behind you. Luffy and Zoro are still mad, but Road is just like, guys, you know, you don't really want to get on his bad side. Because keep in mind, Luffy's group doesn't actually know who Gaban is in terms of his relation to the world. So Gaban just picks up his hat and is like, don't worry about it, Rodo. Hey, Straw Hat, listen, if Elbaf is still safe by the time that you're trying to leave, come and find me. Which is a pretty odd sentiment to say, considering that why does he think it's not going to be safe? But it's also like, what information does he have to tell him? As Luffy and Zoro just walk off pissed like, we never want to see you or speak to you again, what the hell is wrong with you? We actually get a flashback from Gaban's perspective. And in this flashback, we actually see it was the time that Shanks was on Elbaf and Shanks had actually met up with him. Gaban asked Shanks, yo, do you really think that I would trust this kid just because you say so? But Shanks was like, yo, you know what, fair enough. So essentially this entire situation was just a test that Gaban gave to Luffy to see the kind of person that he is. That's all we get from that group for this week, but yo, just the fact that we actually got to see him fight and the fact that he has advanced conquerors, insane. But believe it or not, we're not done. There's still some more, because now we're at the Walrus School and some of the kids are pointing up to Miss Anja and being like, hey, look in the sky there, miss, something's coming. It's kind of a bird, but it's a really weird looking bird. I don't get it. But of course, this is the bird of arrows that was made by Gunko, and it shows that Gunko and Shamrock are here. They don't even waste any time. Gunko's like, I'll summon them, and Shamrock's just like, go ahead. Gunko stretches out her hand and actually creates one of the demon circles. It pulsates with power and haki, and then it emanates, and as we're there, we're seeing two figures emerging from the black smoke. And it seems like these two were on the phone already, because it was like they were being contacted to go, but apparently they weren't ready. And this is when we get introduced to two more members of the Gods Knights. We get an old gruffy guy who's in nothing but boxers and a tank top. He's introduced as Saint Shepard Summers. And then we get what can only really be described as an astronaut giraffe dragon. And this entity is known as Saint Limosiv Killingam. And I just love this so much. First of all, I love the fact that Oda is gonna give the Gods Knights their own personalities, and not all of them are just gonna be the serious stay on mission type of people that Shamrock and Gunko are. Because we have Summers, who's literally just sitting on his couch talking through the Dendenmushi and is like, okay, yeah, I hear you. You're saying that we gotta go to Elbaf or whatever, but can we get an hour to prepare? You know, I'm not really ready right now, so give me a cool hour and then I'll be with you. Which is funny because he doesn't even realize that the signal's cut off until they're actually there. Funnily enough, his clothes are in like a chest, and for some reason the chest also teleported, so he's gonna put those on momentarily. But then the other thing to note about him also is that his family name is Shepard. If you recall, that is the same family name as Saint Shepard Jupiter, one of the Gorosei. So it makes you think, what is this guy's connection to him? And because we've been getting a lot of nuclear family stuff recently, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that this is Jupiter's dad, which just opens up a lot more questions actually. Like, was he a Gorosei member before and then got retired? I don't think that's how that works, because, you know, Imu doesn't really seem to retire the Gorosei. So then it's like, okay, well, how much better was Jupiter that he was actually considered above his dad? And then we move on to Killingam, and y'all, oh my goodness, because his demeanor is very like fidgety and almost anxious. He's like, oh, this is bad, I'm gonna be late, I have to hurry up and make sure I'm not late. He literally said that he was half asleep before this. Now the thing about his appearance is that he seems to be based on the Kirin, or Qilin, a chimera-esque creature from Chinese mythology that basically looks just like this. And it kind of clues us in because Qilin is literally in his name, Killingam. But the interesting thing to me is that this seems to be a mythical zone, and an awakened one at that, because we see that he has the same kind of white ribbons that Luffy and Yamato have. But interestingly, this might tie into how the Gorosei are still not proven to be mythical zone users, and may just straight up be yokai, because their ribbons when they pulled up were intensely black, and there was a very purposeful differentiation of that color. But with this guy, we're getting the simple white ribbon. So what does that indicate? So then we learned that the demon circle that the government keeps using for fast travel is actually called the Abyss, and apparently it's a mark that you receive, and it's its own power. Anybody who has that mark has the ability to open up one of those portals. So as Summers is putting on his clothes, Shamrock is just like, I only needed one of y'all, why is there two here? And then Killingam is just like, oh, actually it's because orders from above, you, Captain, need to go home. With Summers adding on, yeah, you know, the situation back at Mary Joa, it's getting crazy. I think they need you back there. Which is interesting that the government wants to send Shamrock home, almost like Oda is saying, it's not time for y'all to see what he can do yet. And then Summers is just like, hey, by the way, why are we here? Are you like visiting Harold's grave or something? And I love that we got this, because it's finally clicking into place theories that we've been talking about for the past few chapters. Namely that Shamrock and Harold had some sort of connection, and more likely than not, Shamrock is the person who killed Harold. They then brief the two on the mission, with Summers basically just saying, alright, I get it. We need to kidnap these kids and take them back to the Holy Land with us. They don't mention how are we gonna take them. The kids are way too big to just like stuff in a bag and get out of here, and those without the mark can't pass through the abyss. But as the chapter ends, we get a sadistic side of Shamrock, where he's just smiling to himself and is like, you know, with all the four of us here right now, we can make a game out of this. Which, might I just add, is sick work. This man wants to make a game out of kidnapping children. I mean, I get it. He's a celestial dragon. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's just like his father. Back on God Valley, Garland was all too happy to participate in the hunting rabbits game, with rabbits being the people of God Valley. So if nothing else, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. But yeah, guys, this was a actually insane chapter, and I'm so happy that we're back. Oda has been dropping fire after fire after fire, and I don't even know how to comprehend it. But what was y'all's favorite part of the chapter? Make sure to let me know all that good stuff and any more that you have to say in the comments. Now, I know that's the end of the video, y'all, but one more thing. Like it, subscribe, and share it around with your friends. Remember, I'm trying to build a community, but I need your help to do it. That's gonna be all from me. I'll catch you on the next one, and always remember, one piece, one life.